Hi and welcome to episode 14 of the Aimless. I can't speak today, Luke. Aimless Yarn podcast, where two best mates talk about funny and awkward stories from back in day. Fluff that one up, didn't I, Luke?
I know, again. You're a fluffer.
Aimless. My teeth. I haven't put my teeth in, Luke. That's what it is.
You're a fluffer, aren't you?
I certainly am. Just like your furry egg of a head there, Luke. Luke's got a new haircut, everyone.
You know what a fluffer is?
A fluffer. Well, that's what I thought a fluffer when you make a cock up like that. But go on, you tell me.
No, you look it up.
Fluffer. Are you talking about a pubic area?
No.
Oh God.
Anyway,
I will look it up. Well, today, Luke, as you know, it's episode 14 today. The one after the unlucky one.
14 weeks.
14. Well, you could call it 14. Well, theoretically it's 13, isn't it? Because we had a bonus episode.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, we used that as episode 11 or 12.
But we have been going over for 3 months now?
Yeah.
3 months. Two listeners.
Talk about this every time, don't we?
I know.
Your mum and your sister.
My mum and my sister and Bailey. I think that's about it. And they're really part-time listeners. But yeah, Luke, I thought this episode we could talk about growing up in the 80s, which is what it's called, this episode. Because I thought it was quite a good era to grow up. Yeah. And because I do find myself reminiscing someday, just some random will pop in my head. So I thought we could talk about that. But before we get into that, let's ask what you've been up to this week, Luke.
Well,
you got a new haircut. I can see that.
Got a new haircut, yeah. Knocked another number off old shaver.
Oh.
And my mum saw me and she's like, "You're bald."
Mums are so annoying.
You're bald.
You're bald. Good observation, Mum. It's like, you know, when I first started going, shaving my head.
Yeah.
Like, my mum used to go, "Oh, you don't suit it. Grow it back." And I'm like, I've got nothing to grow back. That's why I've shaved it.
Grow it back. Like you're in control.
I know. Give me some miracle grow. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. I don't know.
If you could grow your hair back, though, if there was something out there that you could use, would you?
Of course I would.
Would you do it?
Of course I would.
So you're not happy with like how it is now, then? When you wouldn't just kind of like
it's Gaz likes bald guys with beards, so I'm all right. But if I'd be fucked if I was single. Because I think maybe it's my perception. I don't know, but I don't think girls like bald guys.
I don't know. What do you say? But Jon says, I asked him if he had his hair grown back, then would he be happy about it? He says yes. But he says Karen, he said he likes bald guys with beards. He says he'd be fucked if you were single. He says the bald guy with the beard, and he don't think that women like bald guys with beards.
Or just bald guys in general.
You don't think they do bad? No, but I mean, okay, because I'm not bald, but I'm just mean in general. Would you see like
look like a Larry David bald man?
No, not Larry David. No, definitely not Larry David. Oh, Jason Statham though. He ain't got a beard though, has he? But he's
got stubble.
He got stubble. Yeah. He tends to have a bit of a following, doesn't he?
Yeah. I suppose it's 50-50. I mean, it bothers some girls. I don't think girls are as superficial as guys are they?
No. I think you're just a bit... You're probably worrying over now. Not that
it's an insecurity, isn't it? It's an insecurity.
Well, yeah, when I started losing my hair, I was kind of in denial for years,
Yeah.
You were going on about it for ages, and
I just says to you,
I don't know about it. I'm a bit. I like having hair, and I don't know. I just felt like it. I wouldn't look right with it shaved off, And then obviously because we had the first lockdown, barbers were shut and stuff like that, and I just couldn't get my hair cut, and You know, I didn't realise until I made the decision that my hair were almost down back of my neck. It was that long. That's how bad it was. And so I knew it was thin on top. You know what I mean? But I could see that when I looked at the mirror, it was far enough back that I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
But if I'm in my bathroom, where there's a really powerful light right on top of you, and it's right down on top of your head like that, right? So when you're looking in the mirror, you could see the light shining through the thin bits. And so I just like try not to look, you know. And so I knew how bad it was, and I sometimes wondered like what people thought when they saw it, but at the same time, I just didn't want to shave it off. And then I think I could feel the day that I decided to do it was I'd been plucking my courage up for ages to do it, and I went down into the village to get something from shop, and I could feel like it was quite windy, and I could feel it all bloody blowing around, and it was doing me nut. I says, I came back and I says, I'll cut my hair tonight. But even at that point, I wasn't that sure. And then she took a picture of it from behind while I was sat there ready for her to cut it. And it was like, I couldn't believe it. I'd left it so long. It was that bad.
I know. That's exactly the same with me, Kaz.
When she took a picture of it, you know, it was just it just looked so awful. I just couldn't believe how bad it looked. You know, it was long and it was like right down there, and it was thin there. Do you know what I mean? So it just was so bad.
And it makes you look older.
I said, just take it off, man. You know, it was just that awful.
And it makes you look older if your hair's long and you got a bald patch.
I felt instantly better.
It's crazy, isn't it? It was just like, well, biggest thing for me was, it's like, I think my brother-in-law mentioned something to me, because I used to use those air sprinkles I used to put in to build it up of my bald patch, and it looked all right. But then the other thing I couldn't stop was my head going back, and it's just all five-head. And I fucking hell. When I look back at pictures now, it looks like my head just slipped back. So I just thought, sod it, I'm just going to cut it off. And Kaz took a photo back in my head, and I thought, yeah, it was definitely time. Because you go through that baby bird stage, don't you? It's just like, you're just scared of wind. Because one gust of wind, and it just flaps open, and everyone can see it.
God.
You might as well just cut it off. So if there's anyone listening that's going bald, lob it off.
Yeah, just get rid of it, man. It's just put the courage up and just do it, man.
Yeah. It happens to most of us. And besides, it's actually, you're more manly being bald than you are with someone with hair, because the reason you lose your hair is because your testosterone's too high, because it kills your hair follicles.
That is. Well, I'll just tell Glenn and Carl that then when they take piss out of me.
Yeah, just say, well, I'm more of a man than you two, because I've got too much testosterone, motherfuckers.
Yeah, Glenn saw a picture of me though, because I were at my dad's, and my dad's got an air rifle, and we were shooting targets. And and I was there with Carl, and Claire took a picture of me from behind while I'm aiming. Glenn saw it and he thought it was Carl.
Yeah, well, your Carl's pretty thin, isn't he?
Yeah. So he shaved his off, yeah.
That's what I mean. So
people say I look like him anyway.
You do like your Carl sometimes. Completely different personalities.
Off subject.
It doesn't matter. We're just telling each other what you've been up to.
I haven't got to that point yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. You know what? Right. I work from 4 different offices. I work from home, and then I've got 4 other offices I visit like through the weeks as I go on like a rota. And in each site's got its own safe with like petty cash and stuff in it. And they have a separate safe with a key code on it where they keep the safe key.
Right.
And the Dewsbury office, I got a message saying that they'd somehow locked the key safe out, so they couldn't get in to get the safe keys to open the safe.
Oh, for God's sake!
And the override key, I knew was inside the key safe.
What?
So there's an override key for the key safe. And when that key safe got installed to put the safe keys in, the override key, which should have been kept somewhere safe for eventualities like this, was left inside the key safe. So you couldn't get to the override key because you were locked in because they'd lost the code for the key safe.
So what did you do?
Well, I ended up trying to search internet and try and find like some instructions on how to do it or whatever. And in the end, I went on YouTube to see if there were a tutorial on opening a digital key safe.
Yeah.
And you just smack it.
What?
You just smack it. You smack it. So anyway, I sent this video.
You smack it?
You just hit it, yeah. So I sent the video to this guy, this manager who was there. And I said, do this? And he goes, oh, I can't. He emailed me back the next day and said, I can't do it. You're going to have to do it when you come in. So, and I would go in there the next day. So I went, and the safe's like this on the wall.
What?
He's been hitting it that hard. It's at an angle. I walked into the room. I walked into the office, and it's there at the other end of the office, and I could just see it like, hanging like that. I thought, God, he must have been whacking it, giving it some right wallop, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did it first time.
Did you?
I did it first time, yeah. And I went because they sit in a different office, and I just went in with safe keys. I said, "Oh, safe keys for you there." How have you done that? I said, "I just did what did it video." And he goes, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yeah. Ask anyone in there. They've just seen me do it." No, what a load of rubbish. I was hitting that yesterday, and I ended up hurting my hand and stuff. Anyway, what it is, there's a mechanism inside the key safe on a spring,
right?
And when you press the buttons on it, the spring pulls back, and then the bars come out,
right?
And only until the spring pulls back, not until the spring pulls back, can you turn the wheel for the bars to come out. So if you, because there's a little wheel on it, and once you've done, you put the key code in, it clicks, and then you turn it. So like I said, you can only turn it if this spring pulls back. So if you whack it on top, you can imagine if you've got something on a table and you bang the table, what happens? So say you hit your phone on a table or a pen or something like that, and you punch the desk.
It jumps.
It jumps, yeah. So you whack the top of the key safe, the spring springs out, and then you turn the wheel at the same time, and it unlocks.
That's not very safe, is it?
It's not safe at all, no. So anyway, it worked, and so I got the safe keys out and did what I needed to do, and I needed to reprogram the key safe so that they had so they could get it out when they needed to. So I reprogrammed it, closed it, put the code in to open it, and I'd locked it out again. So I kicking shit out of this safe, trying to because it. Oh, Claire's got playing a video on her phone. So yeah, it worked first time, and I did it before, but then it didn't work again, and I'd forgotten to take the bloody override key out again. So I could just use the override key, but I forgot. God, what a nightmare! So most of the morning I spent pissing about with doing that. And there's social.
Well, you get paid for it.
Just bloody looking at me, just taking piss at me, Oh, I can't believe you've done it again,
Look, we have a wooden spoon. So if anyone does anything daft, then you get given this big wooden spoon, and you have to have it on your desk. And there's this young lad called Cam. He's only 21. Sorry?
Is it in a jar so it stands up or something?
No, it's just a big, massive wooden spoon. And there's this young lad called Cam, and he constantly has it because he always does something wrong and gets it. And there's a running joke that where's a wooden spoon? Oh, Cam will have it. But yeah, it's quite funny when you got a bit of work bants going on, What have I been up to? No, you don't.
So it's good actually being in office.
Yeah. So you've been messing about with CS. Well, I've just been doing your regular plodding along, work and home, because obviously I'm a manual worker, so I have to go in. But yeah, at the weekend I fitted a new blind, and I also fitted an electric fireplace.
Where?
Yeah, in the beauty room. Because obviously the lockdown's lifting, so Karen's going to be getting people in again. Yeah. So we made it look a bit nicer in there.
Nice one.
Yeah, so that was mine. But I've got a week off coming up next week.
Yeah, so have I. Yeah.
So I've got a massive list of to-dos. It's never ending houses and what women want doing, isn't it?
I know.
But I'm hopefully going to be modifying my car as well.
Oh, right, yeah. That little chestnut.
Yeah, so hopefully she's allowed me a day to do my car.
Oh, sure. Right, okay. A day off from doing all the other stuff. Something for you, time for your own stuff.
Yeah. God. Balancing act. Anyway, let's get into this, into the actual subject of growing up in the 80s. What do you think to the 80s? What did you think of the 80s, Luke? Because we've got to remember we were born in 81, weren't we?
In 81, yeah. So I can't really. When I look back on it,
you must remember, because obviously
something that stands out to me is like shit furniture. You know what I mean? Crap furniture pine. And pine and like, you know,
mirrored walls, mirrored ceilings.
Yeah, just like and like a lounge that'd be so. I think I'm like remembering like my granddad's house or something like that, where he had like a crappy little, like a coffee table or something.
Made out of wood,
really
circle.
With really thin legs.
Yeah.
Or a circle, yeah. And then your settee, like, you know, they weren't like big couches like they are now, were they? They were just like, I don't know.
Two-seaters.
Just everything was so shit, wasn't it?
I know.
Your telly were like a wooden case-bound CRT TV, wasn't it? You know, with
tube
a massive
telly,
screen and massive, weighed a ton.
And weighed a ton though. And probably if you look at the screen size back then, it was a square for a start, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's probably no bigger than like a 20-inch TV these days. And that's small.
But when you looked at it, it looked like a big telly. But it's because it had a massive bezel and it was absolutely massive, you know. You looked at front of it and it looked like it's the size of a TV. But if you looked at it from side, it was like twice as big front back, wasn't it?
It was crazy. And do you remember it used to get ghosting as well? If you want tunes right, or Ariel want all that good, used to get ghosting and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And it would great. And then you turn telephone, went boom.
Yeah.
It'd be a little white dot, wouldn't they, middle for ages?
And eventually just like slowly disappear. And if you did you ever used to put your head next to the TV after you turned it off? Static off screen. And I remember my mum used to attract dust, so your mum always used to clean the screen as you're watching it. It's just like, Mum, I'm watching that. It's dusty.
But they were always like wooden effect case bound, weren't they? You know, like brown.
Yeah.
God, they were so crap, weren't they?
They were.
And you tune them in with like a dial, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No remote control back then, you know. Yeah, well, it were an expensive telly if you had a remote control. It were on a wire, wasn't it? If you had a remote control.
It was on a.
You were on a wire. We just look back.
And you used to have stuff on top of your telly.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Because it was a bit like, you'd even have your video. it'd be either on top or if you had a cabinet, it'd be underneath. Or there'd always be something on top at TV because it was that thick. It was like having an extra shelf.
Yeah.
So you'd have a picture or you'd have an ornament. Or can't do that with flat screens, can you?
The surface, I want it to put
But you can't do it with flat screens now.
Yeah.
They just fall off, wouldn't it?
God, they were so heavy then, weren't they?
Oh, massive. Two-man job as well.
I know, yeah.
Pick it up. But I also...
The thing is, though, that people still had them when we were fitting cable, didn't they?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean,
and
when we were fitting...
Even when we were doing Sky, people still had them.
Yeah, they did.
Nearly everybody's got flat screens now, do you know what I mean? But you think... When I think about it, it's not that long ago. I mean, we're, 20 years since we've been doing that, fitting cable and stuff. So it is a while, but...
Yeah, but still, all they had in back...
It's not that long ago.
It is when you...
Pulling them out to, try to get round back of someone's telly, and it was that massive and that heavy, so you could plug a bloody SCART cable in or something, Well,
that's what I mean, SCARTs. How crap were they?
I know.
I mean, we only had RF in the 80s, didn't we? It wasn't until 90s that you started getting SCART leads, but they were a beggar. But what about the sound systems of the 80s? You used to have this big turntable on top.
Yeah. Stack of systems, aren't there?
Stack of systems, that way, with double tape deck. And then you'd have two separate big speakers as well.
Two separate speakers, you had a sub, and then you had the amp, didn't you? And then what else were there? There just seemed to be that many layers.
Radio. Then you'd have your twin cassette. And then you'd have
your twin cassette, tape one into another tape.
Well, if you were really posh, you could do high-speed recording from one tape to another. But you had that. But yeah, and then obviously turntable on top. And if you used to turn bass up too much, it'd make the record jump.
Needle and jump.
But yeah, and you used to have it in your living room.
They were in like a glass case, weren't they? They always behind a glass case or something.
Oh, that were it. A perfect fit glass case.
Yeah, exactly.
Built and you'd push it and it'd open like that.
You push the glass door and it goes
dong.
But you still had to open it,
Yeah.
God,
it was like
80s furniture was so shit, and technology, wasn't it? Oh, you obviously coming on, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean,
all technology shit in the beginning, but
it's analog, isn't it? If you remember, like 80s was analog.
Yeah.
The one saying that though, I'm sure compact disc CD came out late 80s. I'm sure they did. They've been around longer than you think, CDs.
CDs, yeah.
I'm sure. But that must have been late 80s, like 88, 89. It must have been coming towards the end. But yeah, everything was just analog. I think the only digital thing, which was probably still analog, was like, the alarm clocks, 80s alarm clocks. And you used to have digital big...
When alarm went off. Still got one of them.
Have you?
Well, yeah, when we don't use it but it's just when it goes off, it had that awful bloody.
I've got a memory. In fact, I've got a memory of a 80s CD clock because like a digital front, which was quite futuristic, big red numbers. There was an analog radio that used to come on, and I'll never forget. Excuse me for. Like, I think my mum and my dad would get... I was really young because I think I was in Cowleysley because that's where I was born. So I must have only been about 3 or 4. And I was sleeping in my mum and dad's bed or bedroom. I was very, very young. And the alarm went off. And the song that was playing was The Girl Is Mine by Michael Jackson. And my comfort blanket, I named it mine because of that song.
Really?
Yeah, I remember it quite vivid. It was probably one of my first memories.
Really?
The girl is mine. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's one of the clocks that woke me up. But yeah, I remember...
CDs were invented in 82, believe it or not.
Really?
1982, yeah.
But when did they officially start releasing them, though?
The first compact disc was produced in 1982.
Right.
And it was a recording from something in 1979.
Okay.
So it was released in 1982, branded as a
When
digital audio
could you
compact
buy
disc.
CDs? When could you buy them?
It was released in 1982. So that to me says that if it's released, sure that means you can buy it.
It can't be, because I don't remember. Everyone would buying cassettes and vinyls right up, and
yeah, well, not everybody would have had a CD player at that time. They would have been
they must have been mega money, wouldn't they? They must have been mega money. But I can remember, you know what my mum's like. My mum always been a bit flash, hasn't she? She always had nice taste and stuff. So she's a bit of a fashion victim, my mum, in 80s. Like, I don't blame her really, because fashion were quite good in 80s with big shoulder pads and stuff.
I was going to say, I can imagine your mum with big shoulder pads.
And a lot of sequins. But yeah, I remember when I lived at Meltham, we were a new house, a new build house, and they'd done all front room out. And I remember a lot of pine. Like, she had mirrored wall, shitload of pine furniture. You know, I used to sit on it, used to creak. You're like, oh, shit, am I going to fall in this or what? But she had one of these floating chair made out of pine as well. I'd like a bracket. No. I know, one of them. Like a swing. We used to love it as kids.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I know, but I remember
my mum had
that.
this wallpaper that she'd got. I don't know where it came from, but it was like it was wallpaper. But it was like a yarn. It was like a yarn.
Aimless yarn
covering to it. It's just funny, right? So it was like it had the surface to the wallpaper were like a twisted yarn.
Okay.
And so
was it aimlessly like yarned?
It was aimlessly yarn, stuck onto this wallpaper. So you had the surface of the wallpaper, which was like, we made out of yarn. Anyway, we had a cat.
Oh.
Imagine, get this. We had a cat. It wasn't Jones. It was one before called Cat, and it.
You had a cat called Cat.
It's called Cat, yeah.
Did you have a dog called Dog?
No, just a cat called Cat. And it used to climb up the wall. Get its claws in it. Used to get its claws in the wallpaper and climb up right up to the ceiling. It couldn't get back down. We had to go in and grab it and take it back down again.
This used to go, oh, cat.
God.
Oh dear. Yeah. What about
fashion and bloody decor in 80s, you know? God.
Oh,
who has
isn't it?
Yarn wallpaper?
I don't know.
She must have got it cheap from somewhere.
Yeah. But that's just the fashion at the time, wasn't it?
I know.
You know? But do you know what I think I remember about like being a kid in the 80s? Bikes, you know, bicycles, not like back then. It was. I had a rally. Rally back then were big, but I can't remember what it was called. Mine.
Yeah.
Because I know back in the 70s, they always go out about these rally choppers, don't they? But we definitely didn't have them in the 80s. No. We had. I think there were just too many makes and models. But I never had a BMX, but alt movies at times, they had BMXs, didn't they? What?
Carl had a BMX, I think.
Did he?
But mine were a rally. I can't remember. Mine was a rally. Bloody, which one it was though.
Are you looking now, aren't you? You trying to?
Yeah, it'd be well gone now though.
Oh God. Bikes. I'm just looking now as well, see if I can, because I can remember I was at Meltham back then, so I will have been about six. So if I put 1987, rally bike, see what it brings up. Because God, they're all blooming. Mine definitely want one of these. You got these blooming, all these racing bikes. That is that it?
Yeah, I don't think they're on there.
They're all thingy bikes. They're all thingy bikes, Luke. Like race bikes, road bikes and stuff. But there is one that just kind of jumped out at me then because I remembered seat. I think this is it here. This one I've just found. It kind of looks like a BMX, but it's not. I think it is this one, It's called a Rally Wildcat. And I remember that seat. Yeah, I think that's what I had. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I think that's
just
what
looking
I
at it on my screen, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that weird seat because it kind of goes up. So that's bike that I first learnt to ride on. So there you go. Have you found yours, Luke, or not? No.
No, mate. I can't find it.
It's probably a copy. Probably wasn't genuine. I remember from that era as well, Luke. Do you remember Coke cans back then, where they had ring pulls?
Ring pulls, yeah.
God, how dangerous were them?
I know. The damage you could do with one of them.
Oh, mate, I'll never forget. Right, a friend at family. We used to go to this. We're really close to this family in Bolton. And we used to go to theirs, or they'd come to us for like for the weekend, and everyone would go over. My mum, my dad, my grandparents would all go over to what we call Gordon and Brenda. They were called
Gordon
and Brenda.
Oh, Gordon and Brenda.
And we're all really close. And anyway, we used to have these mad, garden parties and all kinds of stuff, and have a right laugh. And they're all drinking cans of lager. And as they were drinking them, they'd use them, they'd put the empty ones on the side and they'd have like a little pile of ring pulls. But me being a kid, I thought it was a really good idea. I thought, I'll grab these ring pulls in my hand. I thought, I'll crush it like a can. And I did that, cut all my hand open, pouring with blood. I know. I'll never forget that. But that's how dangerous it was.
Imagine
I'm watching these. But yeah. But yeah, I mean that health and safety in 80s just wasn't what it is now. Yeah. Oh God. It pains me to think how many people died and lost limbs and stuff because the attitude.
It's why it's all come in, isn't it? I have to say that. I mean, I used to not ignore it, but kind of, we didn't really have it like nailed down, did we? Like when we worked together that much.
That's what I mean. I mean, even in the early 90s, it wasn't great even then. I mean, nothing as bad as obviously the 80s were just ridiculous. But yeah, even it's not until the last 10 years, I don't think that it's been taken actually seriously, has it? Really? Unless you work for a big company, But yeah, it just wasn't there. I mean, do you remember as a kid in the back of cars? You didn't need a booster seat, no seat belts. If your car might not have seat belts in back. I know, used to get about 5 kids on back seat.
Yeah.
2 in boot.
Oh, they'd like have been someone's knee in front.
Oh God, it pains me being a parent now to even think.
I saw someone like that in a car. They were driving around a multi-story car park, and I saw someone with a baby on the knee.
Oh, I would have reported that, mate. I'm sorry.
What the hell?
I would have reported that. I can't stand shit like that, mate.
Yeah. So,
drives me up the wall. It's horrible. But yeah, I think I remember having a booster seat. I think my dad was quite on it like that. But I mean, even if an 80s car's in a crash, you're pretty much game over, isn't it? It's just cars are so much safer now, aren't they? But I mean, they had some cool cars in the 80s, like DeLoreans. DeLorean.
My dad had Land Rovers.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
what Defenders?
Rovers, yeah. No, yeah, Land Rover Defender. Yeah, he always had one of them. I can remember. He always bought, because he was a builder. Obviously, once he'd finished the job, he'd have a massive payout, wouldn't
he? Yeah.
Obviously, he's well paid, and every end of every job, he'd always buy a new Land Rover. Do you know what I mean?
Why not?
He'd get rid of his old one and he'd buy a new one. End of it. Maybe not every job, but more very frequently he'd end up with a new Land Rover because he'd finished the job or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember him one time coming home in this green one, and he walked into the kitchen all chimming like that. Do you know what I mean? Dead excited about getting this new Land Rover. Oh, it pisses up that hill in third. I just remember saying that. I just remember saying it pisses up that hill in third because it was quite a steep hill,
Yeah.
Oh, he's just we're well pleased with it. So I just remember that one line. Oh, it pisses up that hill in third. I didn't know what it meant, because we were only young, but I just seem to remember it. I know now, obviously, but it's so funny.
I think one of the cars that sticks out for me from my dad, who probably got me into cars. He had this Scirocco as a what do they call company car?
Yeah,
it was gorgeous, like a 2-door coupe. And he had back windows, those plastic slats on the back window.
Yeah.
Look proper mint. Yeah, I remember that. Drop my mic already. Do it every time. But yeah, some proper good 80s cars and tiny with TV. And I think something that really got me into motors and that it was Knight Rider.
Knight Rider, yeah.
How good was Knight Rider?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Turbo Pursuit. He just film sped up.
Yeah.
But you thought he was just driving fast, didn't you, when you were a kid? You thought, oh my God, I can't believe how fast he's driving. but when it's just the film sped up. And when you look at it now, you realise how crap it looks,
Yeah.
But one of the best things, I mean, I don't think you see it very often now, but the actual driving of the car into the truck while it's moving is a live action stunt. Imagine the skill that must take to drive into the back of a truck, in motion. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like trucks driving at 60 mile an hour down a motorway or whatever, 50 or whatever. And then obviously you've got to be doing at least 5 miles an hour more than the truck. But as soon as you hit the back of that truck, you're doing
5 miles an hour.
You have to knock your brakes on straight away, don't you? Otherwise you end up back at bloody...
Well, this is it. That's what I thought.
You wouldn't be hitting 5 miles an hour though, would you? Because you'd be doing 65 miles an hour once you hit the trailer.
Now, this is the thing. That's what I thought, Luke. But what's that program where they recreate stuff? Those two guys. They did that exact same thing from Knight Rider, and they said exactly the same thing. Oh, we'll have to slam brakes on. But something to do with physics. As soon as the car reaches hits that ramp, it transfers to the same speed of the lorry.
What, even with the wheels going around at 65 miles an hour?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look at that.
Have a look. It's on YouTube, mate, because I couldn't believe it either, but they were right. It's weird. It's just physics, mate. I don't know how it works. But it's funny you say that. There's a YouTube channel called The Knight Rider Historians. And they uncover every little bit of information and go through every episode and uncover some mad stuff. I watch it every now and again and it blows my mind. But they used a lot of miniatures as well, they were saying, in a lot of the stunts. Yeah. Like, I think there's one, I remember this episode. Bond. What, they still use miniatures now? I thought it'd be all CGI.
Yeah, James Bond, miniatures. You look back at it, but some of it, and like, what do you call it as well? Lord of the Rings. Some big budget productions, and they use miniatures. You don't really look at it. You don't realise that it's actually a miniature. It looks that brilliant. You just wouldn't even know. Yeah, crazy.
I mean, some of like old 60s movies, when you look at especially ship ones, you can tell because the water's just, you know what I mean? It reacts. Yeah, it looks like someone's chuffing. You're waiting for the duck to come by. But like you say, the amount of effort that goes into making these miniature models, and they're so accurate to scale. And it's just like, it blows your mind. Oh, God, someone with a suit on. Falling around
like the cities that they build for him to go and knock the buildings down, they're really good detail to them,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
they've got little toy tanks, firing mortars at the Godzilla. Toy tanks.
But Luke, think of all the time and effort that went into doing that, yeah. But now it's all gone because it's all CGI.
I know, yeah.
They can do everything on computer now.
I know. But I think Toho, who make the original Godzilla movies, I think with Hollywood making Godzilla movies and stuff like that, they started rekindling their wanting to do it as well. And I think they're still using a man in a suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just for nostalgia, comedy value.
Still use a man in a suit. Brilliant.
That's awesome.
Have you ever watched any of them, though?
I haven't properly, mate. I'll be honest with you. I was never into Godzilla. I think I watched the remake, late 90s one. With I can remember it, Deeper Underground with soundtracks. It was Jamiroquai, because I love Jamiroquai.
Yeah. That was rubbish. Yeah. That's no
it was pretty movie. Good soundtrack, though.
Yeah.
I love that song.
But it's not too Godzilla. Look more like a bloody... Look like a T-Rex more than a Godzilla.
Yeah.
It just looks stupid,
But honestly, Knight Rider was so ahead of its time. And I even get, if you watch...
Airwolf.
Airwolf, God. Before I get to that, though, Luke, if you go on YouTube now, right, and you listen to opening credits of Knight Rider, you'll get a tingle up your spine.
Yeah, I bet, probably.
Oh, it's so weird because it's just so good. It was so ahead of its time. And that's what got me into motors. It's my ringtone.
Is it? Yeah,
it's my ringtone on my phone.
Yeah,
but it was so good.
Were there 2 series of it?
No, 4.
4, because I remember
4 seasons.
I remember when they changed the
pursuit mode
for Kit. Like it were a flashing light, wasn't it? A red light that flashed.
Yeah, scanner. It's called a scanner.
No, the light in the car when Kit speaks.
Oh yeah.
And then it was like a single light, wasn't it? And then like they upgraded it later to like three little lines that used to react to his voice.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, because they did a Mark II because they also went from a single screen to a double screen as well.
Yeah, and then didn't they make a Knight Rider film? But with a red car.
Yes, and that was just a flop.
Michael Knight, was it?
It was David Hasselhoff. It was, but it was just a complete flop, and it was a Corvette they used this time, and it was just shit.
Yeah.
You can't beat the original. You just can't. But I'm actually, funny you said that, I'm going to buy the full series and I'm going to watch it all start to finish because it's so good. I love it. I'll probably watch it and think this is shit now because everything, you know what I mean? It's better when you're younger, but it's awesome. It's like but they weren't just Knight Rider, was there?
It's like when I bought a SNES for nostalgia, Donkey Kong Country.
But it was shit.
I played it for 10 minutes. I thought, this isn't what
the gameplay was terrible, I bet.
Yeah, this isn't what I remembered, I thought.
It's like Sonic. Sonic's so hard, and you used to have one life. And you think, how the hell did I do it?
How did you get?
You have to restart all again.
You have to go right back to the beginning. Another thing on it, games in 80s. Well, they're 90s, really, aren't they? But still growing up in 80s. But that were all kind of 90s stuff. But yeah,
well, I remember my first computer. I had a Sinclair, a Spectrum Sinclair +3, with diskette instead of a tape.
Really? We had an Amstrad CPC 464 with a green screen and a keyboard.
This had a keyboard as well. Yeah. That was the thing in the 80s. Before consoles came out, they were like a proper computer with a keyboard, weren't they? They were. And you had a joystick.
And they were Glenn. had this big, thick book of programs, and what you did was you had to input the code, this program, into the computer using the keyboard, word for letter, and like special characters, numbers, and stuff like that. And sometimes it'd be like 1,000 characters,
What?
And then you'd get to the end of it and you hit return, and then it just draw a pattern on screen. And you're like, yes. Imagine if you got one wrong part way through.
No.
Then, like, you'd get. I had a game called Dizzy the Egg.
I think I remember that.
Dizzy the Egg, and you used to. It was a tape, and you put it in. You put it in, and you go, make this awful noise.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
almost like a dial-up modem, But it always play that music, that like horrible noise,
like a 56k modem. Exactly. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And then you'd wait 20 minutes for it to load, and then on screen you get syntax error. You're like,
yeah, you're like, no. I do remember that.
Yeah, I know. And then
so annoying.
Oh God!
But I remember.
The thing is, once your game was loaded, you had to finish it that time. You'd have to do the whole game and finish it. You could only play it because as soon as you turned it off, there were no save.
No, there wasn't, was there?
You just had to finish the game when you turned it on.
Do you remember Chase HQ? Because I had that for my Spectrum. And it was on a joystick. You basically just rammed the car. You were a policeman and you kept ramming the car until it pulled over. I had that. And then I had Beverly Hills Cop.
Did you?
It was first person. It was kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but like a really shitty version of it. And you had obviously that crappy music. And I had that, and then I had Operation Wolf. I had a light gun.
Oh, yeah.
You had to shoot. Yeah, a light gun. So you'd fire light gun at the TV screen, and somehow it knew where you were shooting. You're quite a posh one at the time because they got me because it had diskettes. Diskettes had just come out to stop all that syntax errors with the tapes. But yeah, I mean, it's primitive, but I mean, I can remember my dad having do you remember Pac-Man, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, my dad had a little yellow handheld game. Do you remember little handheld ones that ran off like tiny little batteries that would literally just like just black. It was just black over the top, like a transfer almost.
I think.
And a little tiny handheld things that you could buy with different games.
Yeah. Like
do you know what I mean?
Type thing.
Yeah, but very primitive. Like literally, it would be Pac-Man, and like if you press the screen, you could see where all characters would be to make up what it made. Do you know what I mean? It was like that, and they were like really early forms of handheld gaming. And I remember my dad having this yellow one with chrome buttons, and it was Pac-Man, and it was. And I remember as well. I think I mentioned it in the podcast before. My dad used to be a DJ at Adiga.
Yeah.
And in there, they had this arcade machine, because obviously arcades were big in the 80s, weren't they? They had a table arcade where you'd sit over the table, you'd have a joystick at each side and you'd drink your pint and just put your pint down on it and have a game against each other. And my dad just kept giving us loads of coins because while they were setting up, and me and my sister would just play against each other. They're worth a fortune now, them. Table arcade games. Absolutely brilliant. Well, back to the TV series, obviously Knight Rider, A-Team, Airwolf.
I ain't getting on no plane. Your next shot has been knocked out and is like on an airplane, isn't it? Every time.
And all of the thousands of people who got shot, there was not one bit of blood. Face.
God, the machine guns going off and everything like that, and anyone got shot, there was no blood.
Blatantly smoking cigars and stuff. Kids program. Airwolf was good.
Is it film they made of A-Team?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I can't remember it, though. I don't think it was that good, was it?
It was all right for a bit of a nostalgia kick.
Was it? Yeah, I don't think I either did watch it and didn't think much of it. I can't remember it. But the remakes are never as good.
I tell you what, though, I can't remember who they used as Murdoch, but I felt like they should have used Jim Carrey. I think he'd have been a brilliant Murdoch. You know what I mean?
Alrighty then.
I just remember when it came out, we were at the height of when he was being stupid, in his stupid characters.
Yeah.
I just remember hearing about the film and I thought he'd make a brilliant Murdoch. Idiot, innit? Murdoch.
Yeah.
He's in Star Trek. The guy who played Murdoch, the original Murdoch, he's in Star Trek.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
But what else did we used to have, Luke? Do you remember Street Hawk?
Was that a game? Oh, no, it was like a bike, wasn't it? Knight Rider.
Yeah, but apparently they had one season in there. Do you remember TJ Hooker?
Yeah, that was what do you call it, wasn't it?
Shatner,
William Shatner.
Yeah.
I never watched it. I just know of it because of him.
And Miami Vice. That got me into motors as well, mate. Miami Vice. It was excellent. A white Ferrari Testarossa. Do you know, right? Miami Vice was one of the first TV series to ever use chart music in a series.
Really?
Because I'll never forget. There's this one episode where they've got this white Ferrari Testarossa convertible, and they're driving through Miami with the roof down, and they're playing Phil Collins' "Air of the Night." I can feel it, and they go.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Excellent, absolutely brilliant, mate. I used to love watching that as a kid. But yeah, anything went in the 80s. It was like, oh yeah, we'll stick it on at tea time. It's like Vice cops, bloody prostitutes and drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
Smoking and drinking. It's just crazy,
man. I like films and TV programs that are set in the 80s.
Yeah, I do.
Like, because they always like put emphasis on the fashion and the music and stuff like that, like Wedding Singer. That were a 90s film, but it was set in 80s,
Yeah.
Boy
George.
So they made a big emphasis on the hairstyles and the clothes and the music and stuff like that, and I just love watching that because
it's great, isn't it?
Takes me back to just it's just so. It's overdone, but it's kind of not too overdone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I still remember my mum having big hairs and big shoulder pads and all that. It were good. It were great fashion. It were, bold, wasn't it?
Yeah, and music from 80s, like
the music.
Searching for another radio station in car, or if I'm looking for something on. I don't use Spotify that much, but I know that when I normally, if I do, usually I'm searching for like an 80s playlist, or an 80s radio station, because I always feel, I always enjoy listening to 80s music.
I'm exactly the same because it's so easy listening.
Yeah, exactly. 90s is good, but you can't beat 80s music.
You can't. It's really good, easy listening. I mean, I got back into Simply Red. Have you heard some of Simply Red? Oh, she's brilliant. Such a nice voice, and so easy to listen to. Like if I'm testing at work, I'll stick like 80s on and or a bit of Simply Red or something. It's just easy. Everyone likes it, and it's easy to listen to.
Exactly. Brilliant. And I love 80s music and films from 80s.
Oh God, yeah.
Films that were made in the 80s and pre-80s and stuff like that. It's all. Some of it's shit, but the good stuff like Steven Spielberg and that kind of people from in that time, they had to work with what they could have. It wasn't like computer graphics and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But so when you look at it, you can see the craftsmanship and the artwork that's actually and the effort that's gone into making a great film.
Yeah. Well, it's Back to the Future, isn't there? For example,
when you look at stuff like that, you see more like authenticity in the actual film, because you know the effort that's gone into kind of like making physical props and sets and stuff like that, rather than like mid to late 90s, you know, like the prequels for Star Wars that were all
CGI,
all that
wasn't
CGI.
it?
And CGI is good, but it wasn't well enough developed, I don't think, to kind of.
I didn't think it was too bad.
If you look at it now, though, in comparison to like, it's hard, you shouldn't really compare to what you see nowadays, but you can really, because you can still get shit CGI now.
Yeah, I know you can. It depends on budget, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's like, I think if you're going to use CGI or if you're going to use a new technology, I feel like you should wait until it's fully developed before you actually start using it, because I don't feel like with the prequels for Star Wars, I don't feel like CGI were that well enough developed for him to use it as heavily as they have done. So when you see the creatures and the animals and stuff, which were all CGI, they look all right, but they just look too cartoony, because I just don't think they were kind of, I don't think it were well enough developed. But then, like, when you got into Lord of the Rings, which were like early 2000s and stuff like that, you know, they were inventing technology as they were going along, you know.
Yeah.
Just, you could see like the evolution of it. I mean, like the Fellowship of the Ring. I know we're completely off topic. There's a scene in the first film, you know, where they're running away from, they're in the mines and they're running away from this creature called the Balrog, and it's like it's shadow and fire, you know, and it's just like, it's unreal. You look at it and you just stands up to, you know, now stuff on you what see nowadays, and they're running down these stairs and this massive rock falls and breaks this staircase and it all falls away. And I just remember looking at that in cinema and just thinking, that is so, just looks real.
It's amazing,
like,
isn't it?
That happened. They were there and that were actually happening.
It all stems from development from like films in the 80s and stuff. Because I mean, if you look at RoboCop, not RoboCop 3, the original RoboCop. if you look at that film must have had a massive budget, because the suit he wears is unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's all physical props and real, and the craftsmanship and the time spent.
It's unbelievable.
Like on RoboCop 2, you know, you're Ed 209, aren't you? Who comes into that conference room and shoots everybody.
That's one. That
is it. One, right? Okay,
yeah.
So he comes in and then he shoots all that boardroom up, doesn't he? And that's animated.
It is. I know
that scene's animated. And
completely
you know now,
animated.
when you look at it, you can tell.
You can tell now, yeah.
But it just still looks brilliant, you know.
It does.
It still looks great.
It does, and that's what you don't get these days. It's just everything CG. If you look at all Marvel films now, everything. It must have been filmed 90% with a green screen.
Exactly.
You know, and it takes it away a bit, doesn't it? But don't get me wrong, it's great. I mean, I've really got. I used to love Transformers back in the 80s when I was a kid, and the remakes of the films are absolutely out of this world. I mean, me and Grayson watched Bumblebee together over there, and this how it changes from a car into a robot. It's amazing. The sounds and how they've made it. It's just it's exceptional.
I can't
it really
process
is
that much information.
It's like all bits imploding and moving, and it's just like wow. I'm going to watch them all again. I've decided, because I love Transformers.
No, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I can't process that much information now. What
do you mean?
It's just, oh god, it's just, I don't know. How can he go?
You're more Star Wars.
How can he go from a tiny car to a gigantic robot? You know, Michael Bay. You know, he's just like, he makes them, doesn't he, Michael Bay?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
it's like, you know, just.
It's feasible. It is feasible. But the best thing about Bumblebee, and it's
quality, unless all that matters is it makes money.
Well, I have to disagree with you, because I think the CGI in that is absolutely amazing, and you see every little part change into what it should be into robot. It's unbelievable, mate. Honestly, And the sound effects are great because they still keep the original 80s sound in there somewhere as well. It's awesome. I love it. Good. But I mean, I love the 80s as a kid. Obviously, the music was great. You had Duran, Depeche Mode, Pet Shop Boys, Human League, Wham. There was so many, and there's so many like classic Christmas songs that come from that as well.
I know, yeah. Those are ones that kind of stick around
forever. Last Christmas by Wham. It's just
exactly. Like there's other stuff that's come out as Christmas songs since.
Shaky Stevens. You know what I mean? It's just like,
but you just
can't replace them.
But there's stuff that's come out since that you don't tend to be regarded as a classic.
Oh no! I mean, I think the last one I remember is probably Mariah Carey. That stuck around, hasn't it? Yeah. But apart from that, it's mainly 80s stuff, mate. That have stood test of time. It's really good. Do you remember 80s toys?
Oh, Big Track.
Oh, man.
The Big Track. Like they came out again. They got re-released. I remember Glenn having one. Yeah, the Big Track.
Really?
Yeah, Big Track.
Because I remember Action Man with his eyes. It used to move like that.
With the little switch in his head.
Yeah. And they always ended up with no clothes on apart from the pants.
Yeah. I know.
It was so freaky. But I used to play with it. Do you remember G.I. Joe's? The little action men.
I know of them, but I never actually had them. I never had them.
I had loads of them. I had loads of them. And me and my mates used to play with them. My mum had a big concrete in Meltham. This was a big concrete planter right outside the bay window, and it was full of soil, and she had some plants in there. But we used to use that as a blooming battlefield. For all these men, they used to fight each other. Oh, you're dead, blah, blah. I used to bury him when they used to die, and then I used to lose him. I couldn't find him. So where's he gone?
Is it still there? Okay,
and I remember we used to have this particular one, this baddie, and he had a silver.
Still out, John.
This is what?
Washing's still out. I put some washing out this morning, because it was nice.
You forgot about it.
And it's still out there. Claire's got ready for bed. She's like, "Can you get washing in?" It's now 20 to 11 at night. It's bloody washing still out there. I might just leave it out. It's not going to rain tomorrow.
Let's leave it out, mate. The morning sun will get it nice and crisp. You'll be fine. Totally. Yeah, I remember this little baddie character. He had a chrome head. He was a robot.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Stuff like that. But yeah, they had really good.
I had like Matchbox toys.
Yeah, Matchbox cars. Yeah.
And, I had a few different little cars, and then Cleggy had a police car, and it were a Escort. Ford Escort.
How is it?
It was a Ford Escort police car, and I was so jealous. I so wanted that car.
Only about £1.
Yeah, I know, but I just thought that is ace. I just thought I loved that car. So I used to do that.
What about Skate Electrics?
Yeah, but I had farm stuff as well.
I used
to call it my farm stuff. I had a tractor. It was a Lamborghini tractor, and I had trailers. I had a silager, I had a round baler, and a few little bales in a barn, and some sheep and stuff. And Cleggy had his tractor and stuff from trailers, and Alexander had one. He had a massive Ferguson. Alexander had a massive Ferguson, but he's had 4 wheels at back instead of two.
Did it?
Yeah. Cleggy had a Ford, I think. Cleggy had a Ford, and mine were a Lamborghini or something. And I had this massive combine harvester my dad brought back from Germany. He'd been to Germany.
Really?
He brought me this big green combine harvester, and it was to scale with rested stuff, so that was cool.
Yeah.
So I had that, so that was brilliant. And I remember one Christmas, I'd asked for some animals for me farm stuff, and I got these little hens, and I remember going to bed that night and waking up, and I was that happy that I'd got these hens that I had to go downstairs to check they were real. I got out of bed and went downstairs to see if they were really there because I couldn't believe I'd got these hens.
Oh, funny. Oh, you've just reminded me of something, mate.
So, yeah, but it was great. We used to play out with them all the time, farm stuff. And we had, because we lived around farms where I lived.
Yeah.
There were farms all around us. And the local farmer, his son were called Adam. And he used to, we used to go and ride in tractor with him, because he'd pick us up on way past and he'd be silaging or mowing grass or whatever he was doing, fertilizing or whatever. And we used to go sometimes sit in tractor with him and just have a ride round and stuff like that. And we almost idolized him, and so we would always be like, we get tractors and stuff out and play. And I'd be like, oh, baggy Adam, because I wanted to be Adam. And glad I give it. Oh, because he wanted to be Adam, baggy Adam. Oh, because you wanted to get there first. Because you almost idolized him. You know what I mean? Because he was just so cool that he was driving this Case International tractor around, and I used to love that tractor he had. It was red. It was built. It was a massive Ferguson tractor. But it was Case International. They must have had a different brand or something, but it was exactly the same shape as a massive Ferguson. It was brilliant. It was red and black. And I used to sit in cab, and he used to let me sit in driver's seat. When we were going outfield and stuff like that. I'd sit in driver's seat while we're going in a straight line, and then I have to shift out way while he turn corner, and then I get to sit in driver's seat again. Yeah, that was brilliant. I used to love that in the 80s. And we lived, there were a farm across the road from us, and with these two old boy farmers, brothers, who used to live together and they used to farm. They were really old fashioned, They had barely any. The only machinery they had were like a tractor and a square baler, and then obviously a trailer and stuff like that. And they used to actually go around like what a normal farm would go around. They had a fertilizer machine where they pour all the fertilizer in the top, drive around the field, and it spreads it around the field, and get the roller and roll it into the ground. Well, basically, what this farm did was you used to get a sack with the fertilizer in and go around and spread it by hand.
Oh God, that's old school.
In a massive field. Can you imagine doing that? And I used to go and help him do that. Spreading fertilizer in field. You had to wear a glove, obviously, because it was corrosive to your skin.
Really?
Yeah. And then when it came round to hay time, they would go, they'd cut the grass, and then everybody used to come down to the farm when it was time to bale or do all baling. They go around making all square bales, and we used to pile them all up into big stacks, and then later on, once you'd done all that, once he'd baled or done all square baling, he'd go, and then he'd go and pick the trailer up, and then you'd go around and you'd pile all bales onto the back of trailer. And obviously, because it was red hot, you had shorts and t-shirt on, and your arms were all scratched to bits with all bloody straw, You're red raw because you scratched yourself to bits, Like some bales, because it were an old boy baler, it were old knackered baler. They used to fix it like every 2 meters. Some bales would be bigger than others. Some one would come out twice the length of the other. So you'd need so you'd need to break it up again and put it back into the line so you could bail it back in.
It sounds like child labour to me, Luke.
Well, I'd be there. Me, Cleggy, and Alexander would be there. Carl would be there, and like a few other, everybody used to, get in there and just help them out because it was just such fun. Isn't it? And then once you'd piled trailer up, the trailer had 4 wheels on, but they were all different sizes. Because one would burst, so they'd get one off his wheelbarrow or something like that, and then another one off a bike. They were all different. And then once you'd pile the trailer up as high as you could, and as long as it was safe, you used to like sit on top of all bales and go back up to the farm. Oh, it was just best time of your life, as a kid, just doing that. And then you'd get back to the barn and you'd throw them all off, and then someone would be there to put them all into the barn. And then you go back down again on the trailer and pile them all up again. It was brilliant. Brilliant. That loved that.
That's awesome. But you reminded me of a story. You're talking about your hens. As a kid, I remember thinking Care Bears were real, and I got up one morning and thought, "Oh, if I get up early enough, I might be able to see Care Bears in the sky." So I used to live in cloud, didn't I? I was only about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got up dead quick, tried to put my pants on, I couldn't find my underpants, so I just pulled my pants up and I zipped my zip up and caught me willy in my zip. Mom, I got me willy in my zip.
I think I've ever done that.
Oh, it bloody hurts, mate. I tell you.
That happens on Wedding Singer, doesn't it? Is it the Wedding Singer? No, it's not. What is it? When he gets his thinky stuck in his fly. Oh, it's Ben Stiller. It's a Ben Stiller film.
Oh, God, he's so painful.
It's, what do you call it? Something
to unzip
Mary.
it. Oh, bloody hurts, mate. I tell you, it's a hell of a nip. But yeah, mate. But something else about 80's you forget about is, like, obviously on a Sunday, your parents would go to the pub, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And you go with them. And the thing is, everyone would be smoking.
Yeah.
So if you think how much passive smoking we had as kids.
I know, because we're all in house, as well.
Oh, God, yeah. House, cars, because they've banned people smoking in cars with kids now as well. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And it was everywhere, in cafes, in restaurants. You could smoke anywhere, couldn't you?
I know. It's so bizarre.
It is.
That it went on. And when you look back on it now, and as a kid being around it, you kind of like, if I'm around a smoker now, I'm choking my guts up because I'm breathing it in and I hate it. Do you know what I mean? But as a kid, I can't.
But imagine bringing that into your home and your kids breathing it in.
I know, yeah.
You just wouldn't, would you?
Do it. I know.
But it was socially acceptable back then because that was the time.
I can remember, like, my mum used to smoke, and can you imagine someone smoking at meal times?
Oh, God, it's horrible.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You just can't even think.
I know.
You won't even do it.
I know.
But that's just how it was back then. But it's like, how much freedom did we have as kids as well? You'd be told to come back. You go, right, go and play out. And you play out and say, right, get back in for tea. You can have another couple of hours before bed. Make sure you're back at 7.
But they wouldn't know where you were.
You wouldn't know where you were. They didn't have mobile phones.
Exactly. Like I said before, where I lived, I mean, you know what it was like where I lived.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of nowhere. So
vast.
It were, we had woods on one end, then we had like quarries, rivers to go and visit, and canal and all sorts, loads of places we could go, all miles away from home.
Dangerous places as well.
I know, and see, like, my mum have to play out. All right, okay, just come back for your tea or whatever. And but they wouldn't know where you were.
They wouldn't.
Absolutely miles away, climbing trees in wood. You know what I mean? You'd probably set off to woods or something, but they wouldn't be bothered. You say that now. You definitely wouldn't let your kid go and play in a wood now, would you?
No, would you, heck?
No way. But it was just
how it was.
It was just back how then. It was, and you didn't need a mobile phone. You just say, I'm going to go down woods. All right.
You'd hear your mum shouting you for tea.
I know.
From miles away.
From miles away. Yeah, I know. I'm going back to that bit. Wherever you were, like my mum would be cooking tea,
Hello.
and it'd be like from miles around in here, you know what I mean? Yeah, from like other side of Slough. So funny just to think about it.
John, your tea's ready.
Just to think about it is so funny, isn't it? You just mucking about.
You wouldn't do that now. You wouldn't dare, would you?
I know.
You wouldn't dare because you'd be like, oh, I wonder what neighbours would think if I was shouting at this time of night. You know what I mean?
You'd go in for your tea, wouldn't you? Or you get shouted, and it's like 10 minutes walk from home, you know. That's how far away. And then like you'd have your tea, and then you'd go out again, you know. And sometimes, like if it was summer holidays or whatever, you'd be coming in at like 10 o'clock at night, you know what I mean?
But it was just how it was. But now you wouldn't dare. You'd just be petrified.
You just wouldn't let him out, would you?
Nah.
Jesus.
Well, this is the thing.
Of it.
Well, God, we know now about paedophiles and stuff like that, don't we? That's why we don't bloody let kids out of his sight now.
Yeah.
You know. But it's just,
you know what?
It wasn't that long ago if you think about it.
This is what I remember. This is what it was like then. Don't talk to any strangers.
Yeah.
That were it.
That, yeah. That
do you know what I mean? And you knew.
Know.
You do, didn't you? You just that were it. Don't talk to don't talk to any strangers then. And you know, and I never got talked to by anyone.
Don't take a sweet if they're offering you sweets. Don't take them.
Don't take a sweet. Don't go in the car. Yeah, and that were it. And exactly.
Don't go near main road.
That were instructions. And you know, you just didn't, did you? And but yeah,
there must have been so much dodgy rules, shit going on though.
Yeah, those were your rules, and the freedom that you had were just crazy. Yeah. I don't think it's.
Do you think it's safer now, or do you think it's safer back then, or do you think it was worse back then?
I think it's a matter of where you live as well. I don't think, even though it were like that for us in the 80s, I don't necessarily think that like inner city kids would have had. They might have had the same. I don't know. Maybe they did have the same freedom. I don't know. I don't have experience of that. But
yeah, we were country boys.
They wouldn't have had the same experience that we had.
Nah. I mean, we got to remember. I mean, we were brought up in Huddersfield, which is quite a rural location in north, isn't it?
Yeah. So
and we were brought up on the outskirts, weren't we? Yeah.
So with the freedom we had, were very much like countryside freedom, you know. Whereas in a city, in a town, like kids, stuff like that, really, the freedom that they'd have would be in their locale, which should be in the town or in the city or whatever. So they have a completely different experience. But I would not trade that for anything. Where we grew up, I wouldn't.
I've just realised I've said I've lived in Meltham all this time. It's not. It's Netherton. So when I lived at Netherton, we lived on that new estate. I was saying we weren't allowed.
When you said Meltham, I thought I didn't know you lived in Meltham.
No, it wasn't Meltham. It's me getting mixed up. It was Netherton I lived at. But I remember there was like a curb at the end at a cul-de-sac, and I wasn't allowed past that curb.
And you just
where she couldn't see me. Yeah, we just didn't. But this one time, check this out. I got a bit brave. I got on my bike, right? And I rode all the way, because I remember from going back in my dad's car to one of their friends' house. I just showed up on my bike. She says, "Hi, it's John."
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? I just came to say hello. They brought me in.
With that?
We were about a mile away from home. And they had to ring my mum. Rang my mum and mum come and got me. Dodges. I must have only been about 6 or 7. I reckon I was 6.
I don't know how old I was at the time, but I remember being in CNA in Huddersfield. My mum were looking, that's long gone. And my mum were looking at some clothes, and in there was this escalator, and I couldn't take my eyes off this escalator. And I thought, I need to go up that escalator. And anyway, I looked. My mum wasn't looking, So I went up it on my own. I got to top and that, and I just seem to remember my mum turning around and me not being there, and I being panicking like hell and looking up. Stay there, she says, and she came up and got me. Imagine that. If you were the parent and you turn around, your kid wasn't there.
No, but that can happen now, though, Luke. You know that you take your eye off that kid for that split second.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
I know. But yeah, that's it. I don't know how old I was then. That was very early. God, yeah. CNA, when did they close? That seems like
ages ago. I don't think it was that long ago, actually. It might be. Am I thinking of somewhere else? Maybe I'm thinking of British Home Stores, BHS.
Yeah.
Looks they're closed now, didn't they? But yeah, it's a completely different time, mate. And it does make you wonder, was it safer back then for us to let us do that? Or was that just the what was socially acceptable at the time? You know, it's nuts, mate. It really is. There's no way on earth you'd let your kids do that now. I'm not saying our parents were bad. I just think that's how it was back then.
Yeah, I think they just trusted you not to do what stupid.
Yeah,
you didn't.
You know.
Yeah, you're just given that freedom.
You were, but looking back, Luke, I think we had a really good childhood. Being brought up in 80's, I thought it were. I mean, obviously the smacking was the norm back then, wasn't it? You got if you did out wrong, you got a good hiding, didn't you? And that's just how it was.
One good hiding.
You had one.
One good hiding, yeah.
I used to get.
I probably got a cracked ass every now and then.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. Yeah,
but a good hiding would be where you literally get beaten up.
Oh God, yeah.
Stop. You know what I mean? I remember there were what I did one.
Was it your mum or your dad? Your mum or your dad?
No, it was my mum.
Was it?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it really, but I did this one thing that really pushed her over the edge, and it was a bad thing. You know what I mean? That I'd done.
Yeah.
And she tells me that me, Glenn, and Carl have all had one. We all had one each.
But that's that was acceptable then, Luke.
I know.
That's how you disciplined your kids back then. I mean, you're not allowed to do it now, but that's how you disciplined them. I mean, I remember I got one really bad hiding off my dad. But to be fair, I think you probably would have done the same. I've probably told you this before, but when I was must have been about 6, I was playing in my friend's garage across the road in this cul-de-sac, and he had a dartboard, and we were all playing darts at that age. There was about 6 of us playing it. And anyway, one at darts missed the dartboard and hit the wall. And it fell on the floor and smashed. And anyway, we got bored and I picked the end of it up, the spike. And anyway, before walking back across home, my neighbour had a brand new Ford Sierra.
Right.
Brand fire new. And I thought it'd be really funny because I seen a Knight Rider episode where he pops these cars' tyres, stop the baddies getting away.
Oh, no.
Went around and popped every single tyre. My dad had to pay for 4 new tyres because I'd punched at sidewalls. 4 brand new tyres on a brand new car. I was about 5, 6 maybe.
Oh, God.
And my dad got home from work and I got the biggest hiding ever. Never forget that hiding.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I know, that's what I mean. But that's what it was back then, you know. It didn't do, something. I don't think it did us any harm.
No, I don't think so. It kind of, yeah, I know what you mean. It's different now. You have to find different ways to discipline your kids, don't you?
Yeah, you do, yeah.
And you have to be inventive.
You do. Take everything off them.
Yeah. Problem is, though, sometimes you take stuff off them and they just start giving you other stuff to take off them.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I mean? And that way it becomes a game then.
It does.
You're like, Okay, so that's not working. So what can I do next?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame your parents for doing it, because let's face it, kids.
They're shitheads, aren't they? And they just need a crack every now and then,
Well, they know how to get under your skin, don't they? They know how to press your buttons, and everyone's got the breaking point. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's just a matter of knowing where to. It's just a matter of knowing where to draw the line. If you're not getting anywhere, then just give them silent treatment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Nothing's working. I'm just going to ignore them.
Yeah. And just unless you can get bored.
Yeah. Nothing's working.
That's it.
So.
But yeah, I've got fond memories of growing up in 80's, mate. Fond memories, and I'm sure you have as well, mate.
Just freedom. I think that's the word I pick out from that.
And I kind of miss that a bit. I don't think kids have that anymore.
No. Yeah, it's all.
We're so scared of this world now since the internet came along. Although it's got a lot of good things, there's so much bad things.
Exactly. Yeah. Social media. I hate social media for what it is.
Oh, do you? I thought you loved it.
So no, I know.
You wouldn't know it.
I use it. I know I do, but I just what other people use it for.
Oh, it's disgusting what they use it for.
Like, just people who use Twitter to like
cyberbully.
Yeah, not just that, but you've got I don't know what your opinion is on Piers Morgan.
I just don't give him any time of day, mate. Yeah. I don't really go on social media that much, mate.
I'm using him as an example because it's recent, but all he did was express an opinion on something, and basically all this Twitter mob basically got all up and offended about it, and basically to the point where he ended up. I think maybe using Piers Morgan as a bad example. You express an opinion on social media basically, and everybody takes offence. I think that's what I'm trying to get to.
It gets out of hand.
Yeah,
but to
the point where they'll try and cancel you. If you say something that's against their political standpoint, then they'll try and cancel you. Like, I'll give you here's an example. You've got an actress called Gina Carano, and she played a character called Cara Dune in Star Wars. And she just so happens that she's a conservative. And she expressed an opinion on gender pronouns. She didn't put any gender pronouns in her Twitter profile or something like that, and and it offended all the trans community. So they all got on her back. So they all got on her back and basically campaigned to get her sacked, and she got sacked because Disney couldn't be seen to side on the Conservatives because they're a left-leaning company.
Yeah. This is why the easiest way to deal with this shit is just not be on it.
Not be on social media, exactly. Just don't.
And use it in a positive way. It's like I literally go on social media now just to look at my car stuff because there's some really good car groups and with some really interesting. You find, some generally car clubs and stuff are generally positive.
Yeah.
Really helpful, faults, tips, videos, and everyone's really positive. Oh, that looks really good. Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As soon as you start doing political bullshit, it's just like, you're wasting my time. Yeah. Can't be arsed with it, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, completely off topic.
How many times have we gone off topic tonight?
I know, it's ridiculous, mate. But overall, looking back, 80's were good. I think probably the last bit of freedom kids are going to get was around that era.
It's all gone, hasn't it?
It's all gone. We're all scared now.
It is early to mid 90s, and it's kind of like, that's when it died out because I think just
Because I think because of the internet coming along.
Yeah, I think we were born into the right time.
We
were born into the right time because we had the freedom.
Yeah.
The music.
Yeah.
And just the experience. I'm sure we're great, before then as well. Kids at 70s and kids at 60s, they probably all feel the same. But I don't know how kids of the noughties feel about what their freedom is.
The millennials.
Well, say millennials. We're actually millennials, believe it or not. Yeah, we're millennials. I didn't know that, but we are.
Oh, okay.
We're millennials as well. Oh. So you can't criticize the millennials, unfortunately. But what we can call them is snowflakes. People who you can't say out to without them getting offended. Snowflakes.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
But yeah, if you're born in the 80s, you're also a millennial, unfortunately. I hate that word.
I'll have to agree to disagree on that, Luke.
It's a generational thing. It's when you're born. It's not to do with your behaviour. It's actually when you're born. Like the baby boomers. They're a generation as well, aren't they?
I don't know.
The boomers are the ones that were born after the war.
Is it? Right.
Because there were a boom in pregnancies after the World War II.
I'm not surprised.
So there were loads and loads of millions of babies born just after World War II, and they're called the boomers because it were a baby boom. And the millennials are the ones that come of age in the millennium, and that's why we're millennials. So I don't know what they're called now, other than snowflakes.
Tossers.
Yeah. God.
It's put it like that. Anyway, we had a good time anyway.
I know.
Didn't we? So there you go. Well, we should wrap it up really now because he's probably done another hour and 40 by feel of it.
I know, yeah.
We'll have to do a 2-hour episode at this rate.
A 2-hour episode, yeah.
2-hour special.
God. I think our first one was less than half an hour long.
I think we were just testing waters, weren't we?
I know, yeah.
We was gearing up for our 3 listeners,
I know.
So. Yeah. But there you go. But yes, we are kids of the 80s and we thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, obviously, definitely. I think the way society's changed has made it so we are a little bit scared to send us kids out, and for good reason. Yeah. There's too much dodgy shit going on out there with pedos and people using the internet wrong. So, yeah, they will experience that, but I'm sure they'll experience other great stuff that we'll never see or experience. Yeah. So that's the way to look at it. So next week's episode, have you got anything that you want to talk about? Or are you just going to...
What did I suggest to you the other day? What did
you said...
Exes.
No, I wasn't worried. I just well, you mentioned exes and I thought, well, I'm not really fussed about talking about exes because I don't know. It's just past. It's the past. And
it's the past, yeah.
And I know it molds you in how you kind of deal with relationships, and it's made you the person you are today. I don't feel I have to mention them.
No. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's just because I've got some right tales about that one I had, but that's fine. And I also, what else did I mention about like funny stories about time you spent with your kids?
Yeah, that'll probably be a good one. Some funny kids moments.
Yeah, because
we'll have to think about.
Emma's like a comedian. Ethan's like a comedian.
Yeah,
they're funny, aren't the kids?
Kids.
Anyway, we'll think of something. Anyway,
we'll think of something
else.
But yeah. But anyway, as always, please get in touch if you got your own funny stories you want to talk about. If please comment, like, subscribe. We're on all the social media platforms. Just type in Aimless Yarn and we'll pop up. Like I said, please like and subscribe so we get a bit more get pushed up in the ratings, and other people might want to listen to us and find us funny. Or they might find us incredibly boring and not listen to us. But who cares? We're having a bit of fun in this lockdown.
Exactly.
And it might even be historical. You never know. People might look back at this podcast and think, that's what people did in the lockdown to kill some time. But also keep in touch. So there you go.
I know. Imagine looking back on this time in 100 years.
God. I think, who are these two boring bastards?
I know. Right, anyway, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, so let's wrap this one up. So if you want to, a bit of plug and info here, but if you want to see what it looked like for a kid in the 80s, then just go out to Google and type in kids in the 80s.
Excellent idea. Yeah, I'm sure John's using the internet to listen to this. I'm sure they know how to use the internet.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Also, we've got our own YouTube channels if you want to check those out. Or if you want to see us, if you want to see our ugly mugs, you can check out Aimless Jan on YouTube. Luke's got his own YouTube channel, which is called Luke S Film.
Yeah.
He's got all his home movies on there that we used to make when we were kids. I also do a car-based YouTube channel called Carflix, Carflix. It's got some interesting facts, info, anything car related. Have a look at the video, and I've just uploaded my first video in ages with me and Grayson. Yeah, so
is it the one where you're installing the rear view camera?
Well, no, because I've had issues with annoying editors. I finally found one, but it's been a long and annoying process. But I'll probably touch on that next week because it's getting on a bit. But yes, I've edited one. It's about how to put number plates on without screws.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it sounds a bit boring, but it's actually quite funny. It's only 3 minutes long, but
okay.
Grayson's bloody hilarious in it. So if you want to look at that, please check it out, as always.
It didn't take you long.
No,
before we sign off, I'm going to give you this fact of the day.
Go on,
the single biggest expense in the Lego Universe video game was hiring a team of moderators to detect if anyone had built a Lego penis.
Oh, for God's sake.
Jesus.
And on that note,
yeah.
Anyway, thanks ever so much for listening. It's been a pleasure as always. And as always, it's bye from me.
And bye from him.
And we'll see you on the next one. See you later. Doodles.